This is Southern Cross News with Rick Fontaine.
Good evening, everyone. The polls have officially closed in today's Pembroke by-election with high stakes for the main candidates. All major parties are vying for a seat in Tasmania's upper house, with today a key indicator on how March's state election could play out.
Casting their vote in Pembroke's by-election following a short but controversial campaign.
Today's the decision day. Democracy is a truly wonderful thing.
I've learned a lot from the campaign.
At this stage, the vibes are pretty good and I remain hopeful.
Slurs from the Liberals against high-profile candidate Doug Chipman at the front of voters' minds.
Large elderly population, it's a bit rich to say you're too old for Parliament, isn't it? That was a bit of a rookie mistake, probably.
Mr Chipman wouldn't be drawn on whether he thought the negative campaigning against him will play out in his favour, but he says he's quietly confident.
It's the issues, such as traffic congestion and health issues and education, that have been really important in this campaign.
The same can be said for Labor's candidate Jo Seeker, who promoted her progressive voice and community service experience.
I had a lot of comments that were really in favour of the positive approach, the new ideas.
Questions raised over when the opposition will form its policy position on pokies.
If they want to be in the government next year, they probably have a position, shouldn't they? And I mean, this would have been a good election date for them to have formed an opinion by.
It's great to be able to chat about policies that are there, but it's a huge opportunity for them to also be able to inform and influence that.
James Walker says he's proud of the strong campaign he's run to fill the upper house seat left vacant by Vanessa Goodwin, who had to resign due to ill health.
And I really think if it's about effort, it's about working hard, then I should be in with a reasonable shot.
Those voting today raising a range of issues.
A lot of problems in the place, and I don't know how they're all going to solve them here.
I suppose doing something about trains and transport and things like that.
Health and education always come very high on my list.
Now all the candidates can do is wait to see if the Pembroke electorate votes in their favour. Louise Hedger, Southern Cross News.
An 18-year-old remains in a critical condition after it's believed he lost control on a narrow bend in the state's north overnight. Police say the car rolled onto its roof, leaving him trapped inside.
This is the corner where police say the young driver lost control, leaving him trapped and unconscious. The 18-year-old teenager from Forth was driving a friend home when his car left the road, rolling onto its roof. Police were called to Isandula Road in Gawler just after 10 p.m.
Investigation's obviously at its very early stages. We'll be looking into a number of factors to see what caused the crash. At this stage, it's too early to make that determination, though.
The driver received serious injuries and was rushed to Northwest Regional Hospital. He was then airlifted to the Royal Hobart Hospital, where he remains in a critical condition. The 49-year-old passenger from Gawler, however, walked away with minor injuries. He was taken to hospital as a precaution. Crash investigators remained on the scene throughout the day. Police are urging all drivers to take care on the road this long weekend and drive to the conditions.
In relation to country roads, drivers just need to take extra care. They are narrow and windy. Corners can sneak up, and just a small mistake can result in a tragedy like we're seeing here.
Police say road conditions at the time were dry and fine. Rita Risk, Southern Cross News.
There are calls tonight for New Zealand to intervene and strike a resettlement deal for 600 refugees on Manus Island. Green Senator Nick McKim recently spent several days at the immigration camp and says conditions are worse than expected. The detention centre closed on Tuesday with food, water and power cut off.
The situation they are in now is desperate. It's dire. There's no other way to describe it other than a humanitarian disaster. We've got concerns not only in terms of the cut-off of food and water, but for hygiene and health. We've got over 600 people in a camp that the sewage system is no longer working in.
New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern is expected to meet with Malcolm Turnbull in the coming days. The Midway Point community has turned out to help celebrate a special milestone, with the local fire station approaching its 50th anniversary. The brigade, which boasts more than 200 members over the course of its history, has served the community and the state throughout some of its worst bushfire disasters.
over the years we've had many achievements. Some current past members, Chris Arnold, the current Chief Officer of the Fire Service.
The station officially turns 50 on November 8th. Tractor enthusiasts from around the country have descended on Westbury for the largest collection of steam tractor engines in the Southern Hemisphere. It's part of the Perns Steam World's 30th birthday and a celebration of 100 years of Ford.
Rare pieces of history on display, the young meeting the old. Some of the world's oldest tractors worth hundreds of thousands.
Many of the items in the collection, some of them are only 1, 2 or 3 left in the world. And for people who travel from Europe especially, it's quite unusual to see so many traction engines in one spot.
Perns Steam World are celebrating 30 years in the community, showing off the best of the best. They pride themselves on having the largest collection of steam traction engines in the Southern Hemisphere.
We say, and no one has disputed this, that we have the biggest privately owned collection of traction engines in the Southern Hemisphere, so we're very proud of that.
From pressing hay the old school way to taking engines out for a spin, there's something for everyone. The open day will run until Monday.
We have people come from all over the state who enjoy this sort of day, with a good day to play with their toys.
Rita Risk, Southern Cross News.
A special treat for over 100 Hobart children today who took part in an activity-packed morning out organised by Arthritis Tasmania. The children, who mostly suffer from silent medical conditions, indulged in face painting and meeting their favourite stars before watching a movie.
This is actually getting away from health issues and the chronic conditions that many families battle with. So this is actually having a day out, connecting as a family, leaving all that behind us and just really having fun, with children.
Kids Flicks will be held in Launceston next year.
The Tasmanian Tigers' disappointing start to the Sheffield Shield season has continued, with the side all out for 186 in the first innings against Queensland at Blunston Arena. But hope isn't completely lost, as the Tigers rallied with the ball to have the Bulls sitting at 3 for 43 a short time ago. It took less than an over for things to start unravelling for the Tigers, with Jake Doran gone for a duck after facing just 3 balls. Michael Nessa had his next victim soon after, and Alex Doolan on 2. Jordan Silk and George Bailey tried their best to get things back on track, but when Nessa claimed Silk on 16, the Tigers found themselves in serious strife. Bailey showed glimpses of form, but even the skipper wasn't immune to the top-order collapse, with his day done on 20. Ben McDermott didn't seem troubled by the hand injury he sustained in Perth, as Matthew Wade's bad luck with the bat continued, managing just 9 with the home side 5 for 61 at lunch. In desperate need of a lift, Bo Webster looked the goods early before Mark Steckity and Usman Khawaja put an end to his innings on 11. McDermott providing one of the Tigers' few highlights as he and Tom Rogers temporarily settled in at the crease. Nessa ensuring the partnership was short-lived, claiming both batsmen to take his 4th and 5th wicket for the day, with the hapless Tigers 8 for 151 before a late afternoon rain delay. And finally in sport, Commonwealth Games gold medalist and 4-time Olympian Steve Monaghetti has arrived in Hobart as the special guest speaker for tonight's Commonwealth Games Team Fund Appeal dinner at Hobart's Rest Point Casino.
Hopefully it's a great games. Obviously the home games, being on the Gold Coast is just outstanding. So I've been up there, the facilities and the legacy already, all the facilities are all built. So there's a real great positive buzz around.
The former Tokyo Marathon winner will also offer up some advice to the state's Commonwealth Games hopefuls.
Preparation time for them. A lot of people will tune in, when the games are on, but their performance on that big stage is all dictated by the training and hard work they do now.
Monaghetti will lead the Australian team into a 3rd Commonwealth Games as chef de mission at the 2018 event on the Gold Coast.
Welcome back. Cooler conditions today in Hobart, just 14 degrees. Burnie and Devonport 17 and Launceston reaching 18, which was also the state's high, shared with St Helens and Friendly Beaches. Around the rest of the state, Wynyard reached 17 degrees, 16 at Scottsdale, Cressy and Campania. Strawn, Flinders Island, Lowhead and Medina saw 15 degrees. King Island, Fingal, Sheffield, Bushy Park and Maria Island reaching 14. It's just 12 degrees for Grove, and it reached just 7 degrees in Lyowini. The satellite picture shows a low-level cloud in a cold air mass over Tasmania and Victoria. A mid and upper-level cloud band extends over southern Australia to a low-pressure system near New Zealand. On the close-up, you can see the low-level cloud streaming over the state from the southwest. Tomorrow's chart shows a high-pressure system moving over Tasmania and extends well to the west. A low-pressure trough runs up the WA coast and through central Australia. Southwest to southeasterly winds 5 to 15 knots, reaching 20 knots about the east. They'll become variable below 15 knots in the morning, then westerly at 10 to 20 knots about the south in the afternoon, with seas up to 1.5 metres. A frost warning has been issued for the northwest coast, central north Midlands, east coast and upper Derwent valleys. It can be a cold start. Looking ahead to tomorrow, Hobart will be partly cloudy and 16 degrees. Similar conditions for Richmond, 17. Ooze will have early fog and frost to start the day. It'll be -1 to 17. Launceston will also have a frosty start before turning into a nice sunny day, 18 degrees. Devonport and Deloraine, 15, so a chilly start for the craft fair. Burnie and Strawn, partly cloudy, 15 degrees, with similar conditions for Curry and 14. And it'll be mostly sunny for St Helens and Swansea, both 16 degrees, with a possible shower for Whitemark. Now looking at the UV, we have a mix of 7s and 8s around the state. Showers about the west and far south on Monday. They'll extend to southern and central areas in the afternoon. Evening snowfalls to around 900 metres in the south. We fine elsewhere with patchy morning frost. Tuesday, showers about the west and south, but it'll be fine elsewhere. Showers about the west and far south again on Wednesday. Fine elsewhere with patchy morning frost. Taking a look around the country, there will be a few showers, but looking pretty sunny in Perth and Alice Springs, with a chance of a storm for Darwin. And cooling down quickly in Hobart, clear and 9 degrees currently. Launceston clear and 16. Also clear in Devonport and 13 degrees. Well, that is all your news for now. Thanks very much for joining us. I'm Rick Fontaine. Have a great Saturday night. Good night.